2017. Welcome to Bed Listen on Channel 3.
A news program that talks about all the current events in the opinion of the watch.
Our team stars Iman Hassan and Laura Marin as co-anchors, Nasim Abdurabu, Shadi El-Agrabawi, Bahja Musa, and Daniel Human as reporters.
Today's story will mainly focus about the Sputnik. Let's start off with Nasim.
Thank you, Matt and Laura. About 60 years ago, the phenomenon that was Sputnik launched. In case you don't understand, let me enlighten you. Sputnik is a Soviet artificial satellite that launched and its first satellite to be placed in orbit. The group of scientists were led by Mikhail Tikhonov. Success in the NI-4 military institute in the Soviet Union. Now we move on with Daniel.
Thank you, Nasim. With more events about Sputnik, we know it was launched on October 4th at 7:28 p.m. Sputnik was a successful launch, and it came as a shock to experts and citizens of the United States, who had hoped that the U.S. would accomplish this scientific advancement first. Now, we will analyze with Nasim.
Analysis is a big part of this historical event. Let's talk about the reaction of both sides. Sputnik has caused public fear and anxiety in the U.S. society about perceived technological gap between the United States and Soviet Union. This has caused society to lose confidence in the scientists and government. Scientists knew that this success had made them ahead in the technological race between the two countries. And we have to be sure that this situation to divide American society. We talked about the possible launch of the flash.
The fact that the Soviets were successful caused fear that the U.S. have fallen behind in development, as tensions are going to be high between the two countries. The U.S. military will have to work very hard if they want to reach the technology Soviets now have. Now, Americans will live under the fear of not knowing what Sputnik is capable of doing. And of course, the Soviets will continue to develop new technology that could destroy the U.S. And it will up an ego between the two countries until somehow the U.S. reaches superior technology. Now, with Iman.
Thank you, Laura. Sputnik had a negative effect on the U.S., causing citizens to live in fear of the Soviets. However, it forced Americans to upgrade their technology and launch their satellite Explorer 1 on January 31st, 1958, discovering the Van Allen radiation belts, a collection of charged particles gathered in a place by Earth's magnetic field. They can wax and wane in response to incoming energy from the sun, sometimes swelling up enough to expose satellites in low Earth orbit to damaging radiation. Now, Daniel, with the relationship of the U.S. and Soviet Union.
Thank you, Iman. Minutes after this news reached President Eisenhower, he passed a law that will add new math and science courses in American schools. Also, he informed that the Soviets captured a U.S. pilot, and President Eisenhower said he is not willing to apologize to Soviet leader Khrushchev. This way, any political relation with the Soviet Union had vanished. Now, a story from a college freshman at Wesleyan University explaining how she felt.
This brave college student explained what he was doing when he first heard about Sputnik. He explained, "A friend stopped me in the middle of the campus to say that he heard about it on the radio. We both looked up, and within hours I could actually hear its signals, rebroadcast on network radio. To me, Sputnik is like the starter's pistol in an exciting and terrific new race. I was scared and delirious as I witnessed the beginning of the space race."
Before Sunday night was over, I heard it directly on a shortwave radio as it passed overhead. The next day, not only could you hear Sputnik, but you could also see it with your naked eye on certain times, in the early morning, or even late evening when the sun was still close enough to the horizon to illuminate it. That night, I saw the satellite scooting across the dark evening sky, orbiting the Earth at a speed of approximately 18,000 miles per hour, or at least is what I heard. Now we'll move on to Fast Facts with Iman.
The satellite was the size of a basketball and weighed approximately 180 pounds. It traveled at 18,000 miles per hour, 500 miles above the Earth's surface. It orbited the Earth every 98 minutes, flying over the United States 7 times a day. Shortly after its launch, the New York Times explained that the literal translation of Sputnik is something that travels with the traveler. Additionally, the traveler is Earth, traveling through space, and companion traveling with is a satellite. Carrying only a simple radio transmitter, the satellite emitted a beep 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 signal back to Earth every 23 days, until October 27, when its battery reportedly died. Sputnik remained in orbit until January 4, 1958, when it re-entered Earth's atmosphere and burned up. Now know that everybody is well informed on Sputnik and how it was a great part of history.
This has been Beth Lesson on Channel 3. Thank you for watching.
Moments of farewell. The photographers are taking their last shots. Our space rocket is ready in the center of the cosmodrome. The countdown begins. Now only a few moments remain. All eyes fixed on the clock. 30 seconds. 10 seconds. 5. The hand reaches vertical. A mighty roar. Our rocket vibrates. White hot flame gushes downward. And the great beast lifts slowly from the earth. We are about to create a new planet that we will call Sputnik. It is small, this first satellite, but after it, we will launch others. In the olden days, explorers like Vasco da Gama and Columbus had the good fortune to open up the terrestrial globe. Now we have the good fortune to open up space. And it is for those in the future to envy us, our joy.
When the rocket reached a speed of 18,000 miles an hour, its flame went out, and in the silence of space, it joined the moon in orbit around the Earth. Then, its casing opened. The springs snapped, and the nose cone was pushed out of the way. A ball with 4 antennae emerged to go it alone in the darkness of space. And a radio began to send a signal back to Earth. Humanity had entered the space age.